There is a renewed interest in local food, due in part to a desire to reduce the distance from field to plate. More people are starting to grow their own food, but not everyone has the ability or the space. Some say it's time to get creative and use spaces we might not have considered using before. Tonight we're looking beyond the backyard in part 3 of our Check News special series, You Are Where You Eat. The bustling streets of BC's capital. You wouldn't think there's much room to grow food amidst the concrete.
Chuck her right in here.
But there are gardens hidden in the cityscape.
A great place for vegetables because there's a huge sunny spot right in the middle between the trees. And then it occurred to us that because it's public land, that it would be just perfect if it were a common.
Common meaning shared labor, shared harvest. What was once a grassy boulevard along Victoria's Haltane Street is now the Haltane Common. This is a busy street, and before long, word got back to the city about a garden planted without permission.
Because it's public property, it's not quite as easy as just putting in a garden and watching it grow. We have considerations like trip hazards on the sidewalks. We want to be sure that pedestrian access is maintained, that curbside parking is maintained, our utilities are protected.
The city is already funding other urban agriculture initiatives like the Wark Street Commons. It's one way to encourage food production in a city that's not getting any roomier. As for the Haltane Common, it's allowed to stay this year. The garden has sprouted an investigation into whether there should be a city policy for these unique spaces.
My immediate hope is that people will have food, but I know I can't feed everybody. So then I have this hope that people will learn how to grow food and will be encouraged to grow food by what we're doing here.
And for those not growing their own food, there's someone willing to bring it to you. Food Routes links local growers with urban customers through pocket markets.
I think it's really important that we collectively take back the backyard, the front yard, and whatever growing space there is and start contributing more to our own local food security.
And in Oak Bay, backyards are changing. Just months ago, this was lawn. The homeowner offered it up to City Harvest.
And then we do everything from planting it, weeding and watering and harvesting it. The homeowner really has no responsibility for the garden portion of the yard whatsoever.
In exchange, the homeowner gets a share of the produce. The rest is sold. What started with 9 yards last year has blossomed into 20 and a new farmers market in Oak Bay.
So it's been a really steep learning curve, not only in terms of starting a business, but also growing food. But I got to say that, if we can do it on the scale that we're doing it, everyday people can put in a garden in their backyard and do their part.
Now there's another way to move Vancouver Island food into larger centres. Some farmers are combining forces. Northbrook Farm is an organic farm on the Saanich Peninsula. It's also one of the 3 main farms behind Saanich Organics. Saanich Organics farms work together to market and deliver their produce and that of other small-scale farmers. They've invested in a greenhouse in order to secure year-round business with restaurants. And they've hired some workers, an experiment to see if this type of farming can be financially viable.
We firmly believe that farming is not sustainable if it's not financially sustainable. I don't believe that there's any such thing as cheap food. If something in the grocery store is really cheap, somewhere along the line shortcuts are being taken. Either environmental standards aren't being met, there's dangerous practices environmentally, or there's people who are being mistreated somewhere, people who aren't being paid a living wage or aren't working in safe conditions.
So far, their experiment is working. Employees are making money. The farmers are supporting themselves. And there's also a home box delivery program for customers who want organic food brought to them. In the coming days in our special series, we'll take you into a restaurant kitchen to find out just how much food you can make from local sources. We'll look at how government regulations are frustrating farmers, and we'll see how attitudes toward what we eat are changing. And at any time, you can log on to our website, checknews.ca. Click on You Are Where You Eat. You'll find video comments from some of the people we've interviewed, our blog entries on local farming, and a place to post your thoughts about Vancouver Island food.